Welcome to our SplashOut Cape Derby panel. It's going to be a brilliant race day. It always is. The spectators come in their hordes, and I think racing enthusiasts really get a good feel for quality racing, especially some of the sprints and some of the classics. And just to mention that this is the 100th running of the Derby, and it first started, a filly won the first edition over 2,400 meters. In later years, it changed to 2,000 meters, but it really has produced some greats. And I've got a panel who can tell us a little bit more about those greats. I'll start off with Alistair Cohen, my right. Alistair, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Vic. Yeah, really looking forward to the SplashOut Cape Derby, the final Grade 1 of the Cape Summer Festival of Racing. Obviously, the penultimate race meeting with the CRS Big Cap coming up in mid-March. It's been a whirlwind of a season that's been dominated by the 3-year-olds in one stripe and 8 on 18, and we're lucky to have 8 on 18 back. Yes, it might be a small field, and there might be a few horses there that are going to be lined up by the handicapper after the SplashOut Cape Derby. But all in all, I think racegoers are going to be treated. There's a nice Pick 6 carryover to go along with the meeting, expected to get to 3 million rand, and the prawn and seafood and jazz will excite quite a few as well.
Correct, entertainment and good food. Karl Neisius, thank you very much for joining us. You are no stranger to the Derby. Do you remember how many times you've won it?
6 times.
Brilliant. What type of horse does it take to win the Derby?
I think classic horse will always win the Derby. Been very lucky to ride milers that have actually got the Derby distance, but alternatively, if you win the Derby, you can go on and most probably have a good chance in the July or any of the big classic races in the country.
We're looking forward to your feedback going through the card.
So.
Brandon Bailey, last one on the panel. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Vix. Yeah, always an absolute honour and a privilege. Obviously, it looks to be a good card. I think there's 1 or 2 short price favourites along the day. Dare I say, it looks to be a card where punters can make some good money. You just obviously, I think punters will be bankering 8 on 18 a bit later on in the sprinter as well. But yeah, if it was that easy, Vix, we know we would be. But great to be alongside Karl. Alistair, is always good to see that role has switched up a little bit. Ellie will be tipping for a change, so something new. But thank you, Vix.
Thank you. Well, looking forward to it. It's the 9 races on the card. First race off at 12:10. So let's get into the first race. We won't leave you waiting much longer. So it is race 1, the SplashOut Cape of Good Hope Nursery, the Grade 3 over the 1,200 meters. It's the 8 runners, and you've got some really good sorts. But the one juvenile that really got tongues wagging was number 6, Island Forever. Before we go into the details, Brandon, please could you take us through the betting?
Yeah, sure. So the favourites, Winter Snap, 2-1. Wild Green at 3-1. Direct Hit. Good to see Ellen Cree sending this filly. She won super impressively first time. 4-1 with Absolutely Yes. Island Forever, who you mentioned, at 5-1, and after that you're getting 14s and better.
Your opinion of the race?
I think it's a good race. I don't think we can put our head out and say there's a racing certainty in this sort of race. I mean, Winter Snap, I called his first start, Vicky. Super impressive, lovely looking colt. There's no doubt there's lots of improvement to come from him. We don't know too much about the filly that won first time from Alan Kreef. All I can say is on the eye, it was super impressive. I mean, she was never really out of first gear. There has been a win in the form of Galileo Star that came out to frank those form lines. And then I think a horse like Absolutely Yes, who I have tipped on top, has been super impressive first time, Vix. I watched all of them, their first runs, and for me, if you go and watch Absolutely Yes, very slow out the gates first time, quickly recovered, found himself in a good position, and the way he quickened up late, I was very impressed with that performance. So I'd probably lean towards him being the top selection, and then huge respect for Vaughan Marshall. I know they think quite a bit of that colt, Island Forever.
Karl, it takes quite a forward juvenile to perform at this point in their career, but they sort of come on leaps and bounds. Would you have any preference, and which one would it be?
No, when I looked at it, I also thought Absolute Yes would must probably improve quite a bit. And normally Candice doesn't really ready them up first time out, and her horse won a nice race first time out. So I expect a big improvement there as well.
Alistair, what would your play be in race 1?
Very interesting, Vicky, because I'm loath to consider times on different race days because there's so many variables. But over 1,000 meters, all of Winter Snap, Direct Hits, Absolutely Yes, and Island Forever are 1 from 1. And the horse with the best time by over 3 seconds is number 2, Direct Hit. And as we know, the PE horses, the PE juveniles particularly, do have a good record. Instaworthy rocked up here on Met Day and ran an absolute ripper. Direct Hit looked like she was basically floating home. Brandon gave the feedback on the form line with Galileo Star coming out and franking that form. Direct Hit never looked in doubt. But with that said, 1,000 meters looked right up her alley, and I almost got an impression that she absolutely would have won had it been a furlong further, but there's no doubt the pack would have closed in. That electric speed was was certainly the biggest weapon that Direct had brought in on debut. Hence she won so well. I don't know if there was a thumping tailwind, which is distinctly possible at Fairview on that occasion. Richard Freeze obviously obliged to take the ride on this Daughter of Canford, being a Ridgemont-owned horse. So I think that she might feel it a little bit over the extra 200 metres, but I do have a lot of respect for number 2, Direct. Alan Krev, by his own admission, hasn't got a record-breaking amount of 2-year-olds in his yard, but he has got some very nice ones, as we have seen subsequently. To the eye, I think the 2 most progressive horses are 5 Absolutely Yes and 6 Island Forever. I'm in the same boat as Brandon and Karl. Absolutely Yes ran like a horse that will have no issue going the extra furlong. Likewise, number 6 Island Forever. Maybe Yes, the mare of Absolutely Yes, trained by Brett Crawford. She, I think, won the KZN Oaks, if I'm not mistaken, when it was still at Clarewood. And Island Forever is related to a few horses that have no issue stepping up to a mile, 2,000 metres. So they're the 2 horses for me, and I'm going to tip up swingers, box swingers numbers 5 and 6 to get us off to a good start.
Race 2, it's the race care powered by Hollywoodbets Class 4 over the 1,400 metres, and it serves of the first leg of the bipod. Brandon, if you can take us through the betting, please.
Sure, Vicky. So regulation 15-10, the 1 Honor of Kings at 2-1, 3 Master of the Desert's now trading at 4-1. So there's been a little bit of support from him. He was originally at 6s, Paratrooper at 8s, and then after that you're getting 10s and better.
Alistair, race 2, it's the 1,400 metres. You get some horses that really enjoy it. It's going to be interesting to see. Take note of the weight of Honor of Kings. He's a very thick-set, heavy type of horse. He weighed 518 when he won. He's been gelded subsequently. So take note of that. We'll have that ready for you on race day. But I think a lovely race, and even a horse like Scottish Lynx, most certainly on his last win, could hopefully come into it. Alistair, what's your opinion of the race?
Well, how interesting is this? Because we've got Absolutely Yes's half-brother, Definitely Yes, running in the race. And he's got blinkers on for the first time. Interesting remark that you make about number 1 Honor of Kings, because I've made the joke a few times that Justin Snaith probably sitting under Honor of Kings every day with a pair of scissors, waiting to geld the son of Vercingetorix. He is a half-brother to former Horse of the Year, Princess Khaya. He got out the maidens in workmanlike fashion, looked workmanlike, and then everything in behind Honor of Kings has come out and won. So there's a very interesting dynamic there, and it wouldn't be past him to improve sufficiently to give a stable companion who's probably the horse to beat, number 7 Regulation, something to worry about. Tongue Tie comes off. He ran in the City of Cape Town Politician Stakes on World Sports Betting Cape Town Met. They may have been a little bit disappointing. We heard what Robert Bloomberg had to say on the panel discussion before, but there is a racehorse there. But is he a racehorse over 1,400 metres? That remains to be seen. Half-brother to former Hollywoodbets Durban July winner Bulgarian. So I think it's a bit more of a complicated race than what it looks. Then we've also got Green Garnet, who I think is probably an element of top 3 value. Don't know if he can beat the 2 Snaith runners. He was desperately unlucky. That was a mess of a race with legal counsel. Please Be True came out and franked the form. I think that he could make sort of swingers and trifectas pay. But I think it's the Snaith show. I'd lean towards Regulation, more out of reputation. But Honor of Kings, plenty of scope to improve now gelded.
Karl, your take on it? Number 3 Master of the Desert on his last run also has to be a bit of a factor.
That's the other horse I'd put in. I like Regulation, Honor of the Kings, and Master of the Desert.
There you go. Short and sweet, because we're going to get into the good bits. Brandon, what would your play be in this race?
Vicky, I like Regulation. I know this is probably the bottom end of his range when it comes to trip. I mean, if you go and watch that last one in the Politician Stakes, I thought he was awfully unlucky. At no stage of the race, he's got that magnificent big action to him. He never really got to get into clear air and build up into that action. So I thought he was mighty unlucky. And a bit later on, obviously, you got the horses like Garrick's, Zeit taking on 8 on 18 in the Derby. You've got to think of this rating, there's still quite a bit of room off an 88. He's by far the best horse in the race for me, and I think if he gets some luck, good to see that now running in the silks of Gina and Greg. So let's hope, Vix, this is a horse that I'm going to follow closely, not only for now, but I think leading up into the Durban season, he could be a horse of this sort of rating that's progressive. So 15-10 for me, good price. Let's just hope that he gets some luck.
Race 3, SABC Class 3, it's over the 1,400 metres, serves at the first leg of the place accumulator. So most certainly something to get involved with. Karl, I'll start with you so no one can take the words out your mouth. Your take on the race?
I thought this was quite an open race. You give me the most difficult one. Yeah.
That's from my memory when I used to ride against you.
This is really open. I actually like Eric's horse here, number 5. Khaya a little bit. He's very consistent. It's got a nice lightweight, and that would be my first choice. Although it is a very open race, so I think 5, 10, Power and Glory, and then 1, Talk to the Master, and then after that, anything really. But I think it's a very open race.
Brandon, your take on this race?
Yeah, so Vicky, the betting's got number 10 Power and the Glory at 3-1, the 6 Gallic Dream at 4-1, Talk to the Master 5s, Rosh Kadesh at 6, and then 7-1 and Better the Field. So it is quite open. I agree with Karl. I'm probably going to lean towards number 1 Talk to the Master, again a horse that found hard luck stories last time. If punters can go and pull up that rerun behind Gem King, he was waiting for a gap, it closed, the door closed in Sean Veal's face, and once he built up into that action, he certainly hit the line really nicely. So now that he steps up in trip, good draw, Vicky, I think Talk to the Master's got to have some sort of a chance. I want to dig even deeper into his form lines. That 3rd to Snow Pilots at Durbanville, I think we can argue that Hollywoodbets Durbanville probably not an ideal track for him, looking at the way he races, etc. And he was really running on to second in that race was a horse called One Stripe, who we know very well. So you got to think with form lines like that, now that he's been gelded, good draw, a man that's red hot in form being Aldo Dermeyer, 5-1 for me looks to be value, Vicky.
There you go. That's race 3. So everyone's take on race 3. We move on to race 4. Alistair mentioned the very important Pick 6 carryover. So this is the beginning of it, the first leg. It's race 4, the Schweppes Cape Fillies Classic. They're listed over the 1800 meters, and it really is a fantastic field of horses. I think it's attracted a competitive one. Number 1, Give Me Everything. She's been very impressive. Done a lot of work from far off them. You've also got number 3, Goodness Gracious Me, and I won't go into much more detail because I've got experts with me. And Karl, I think for this race, I'm going to ask you tactics-wise. I know that you were always very brilliant at placing horses in the right place and giving them not much to do. So how do you think this is going to pan out?
This race, I was a little bit worried about the pace. It's a very small field, and I wasn't sure if they were going to go like a really good pace. So it's going to be very tactical, I think. And I'm not sure some of them will stay. So, I mean, if they go slow, then I would think maybe Scarlet McCaw will have a very good chance if she settles. But yeah, for me, if they go a really nice pace, I quite like number 5. All things being equal, I think 5's got a good chance. I think she'll see it out nicely. Then 1. And 4 is a nice up-and-coming filly, so that's my first 3 out of in that race.
Alistair, your opinion of this race? Are you in agreement with Karl?
I think Scarlet McCall's the biggest lay of the day, to be honest. To be honest, I would love for the connections because of the whole story of syndication and getting to know Christian van der Merwe, who's part of the ownership along with so many other good people that are in the Centenary Syndicate. But she is going to be tested over 1,800 meters.
I'm having a nice little laugh because this might be a you and Karl race you home challenge.
Clashing heads.
Well,
I do like Karl's take on the other 2, to be fair. But yeah, Scarlet McCall earned her rating having run 2nd in the World Sports Betting Cape Fillies Guineas. For me, there's no shortage of class among the 3-year-old colts in Cape Town. I mean, they've won the 2 big weight for age races in the Cape in the form of 8 on 18 and 1 Stripe. But I think the power fillies are up in Joburg, not so much here in Cape Town. And, Fatal Flaw came with that quid pro quo form, having been prepared mainly in Joburg, came down here, won the Grade 1, and I think now we're getting to that level, and I'm probably shortchanging the 3-year-old fillies, but I think there's a lot of progress to come from all these untapped 3-year-old fillies that we haven't seen the best of, that are not necessarily milers. And I think that Scarlet McCaw's ceiling is probably 1,600 meters. Although Karl makes a valid point, if they walk, which is a distinct possibility in a small field with horses that are looking for a trip, then that might open it for number 6 Scarlet McCaw. But if she won the first leg of the Pick 6, I'll be out. So my read here are 1, 3, and 4. Give Me Everything. To beat Blind Ambition in a maiden is one thing, but to step up the way that she did in her first run out the maidens was most encouraging. She's got a lot more to come. She's nowhere near the finished article yet, but she's heading in the right direction, and under the guidance of Dean Canamere, there's no doubt that she'll probably get to her level and get a bit of black top. 3, Goodness Gracious Me, my top choice. Richard Fourie takes a ride for Justin Snaith. I thought a very good run in the Clapham last time out behind the older filly, Call Me Get Tricks. Lovely big striding filly, have no issue with the trip. And then number 4, Omakami, she'll be very dangerous. She may have bitten off a little bit more than she could chew last time behind Rainbow Lorikeet and all those older, grizzled, veteran fillies and mares that have got a lot of black type. I think this level she's going to be dangerous enough in the opening leg of the pick 6. So I've got 4 horses, 1, 3, 4 and 5 in the opening leg of the pick 6.
Brandon, what would your play be in race 4?
So Vicky, I'm just having a look at the markets. Interesting that Kinda Wonderful is the favourite at 2-1, Scarlet McCaw at 22-10, Omakami at 4-1, Goodness Gracious Me at 5-1, and then you're getting 10s and better about the rest. It's one of those races where I have no doubt, Vicky, you're probably going to have to go field in the first leg of the pick 6. As Karl has rightly said, the pace could be absolutely crucial when it comes to this Cape Fillies Classic. Vicky, you can make a case for all of them. I mean, Give Me Everything's got to have a good chance. She's really come to form of late. Good to see that Dean's Yard doing nicely. I mean, they had back at the George win a good race at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth a week ago. Cam Chutka, I'm not sure where she fits into the pecking order. I know she's a lovely looking filly. Whether she's up to beating this field, only the race will tell. And then 3, Goodness Gracious Me, I mean, she's a lovely looking filly, this. She's crying for the 1800 metre trip, so she needs to go into the play. She was mighty unlucky. In fact, she looked to have the race sewn up last time out, and it was a good ride from JP to come and fetch her on the line. I did speak to Lucinda Woodruff about Omakami last time. I know they were gutted with that performance. Perhaps you might just see this filly going forward, Vicky. When she won her race beating Song to the Moon, they went to the front. I know it wasn't by design, but they may have learned something. They dropped her in last time out and she ran a stinker. Kinda Wonderful, Scarlet McCaw, 2 horses that I'm worried about the trip. That's my only concern. And then 7, Lady Springfield. If you like Give Me Everything, you've got to like her because she had no luck last time. She was caught in a pocket. Richard never really got time to let her go. So at 14-1, you could easily see the smaller the field, the bigger the upset. We won't go into that debate again, but please, my advice, go field. Vicky, be safe rather than sorry.
It is a lovely race, and as you say, it's such a variable with distances and pace, etc. Race 5 is the City of Cape Town Jetmaster Stakes over the 1600 metres, a listed event, and some really good campaigners in here. It's wonderful to see horses like See It Again, Zapatius, and also interesting runner, and this is a comment I want to include because it's important. Mu Capitano is number 9. When he won last time, Richard said, who wasn't riding him, and he said, I've been dying for this horse to go over a little bit of a trip, and he won quite comfortably, and more impressively that he beat Snow Pilots. But I think stepping up over the extra, very happy horse. So Brandon, what's your take on race 5?
Yeah, so Vicky, you bring up a good point. I mean, he was super impressive, and I think the key is I thought Snow Pilots, if ever he was going to win, it was then. Because he went to the front, he was unchallenged, he looked to be in that good rhythm of his as he built up into the straight. And Gavin, if you watch Gavin closely, there was one other horse just in front of him. He just kept tracking and waiting and waiting. And at one point I said, if you're going to beat this horse, you've got to get going. And when Gavin peeled off the heels of that horse, this horse made up 2-3 lengths in a matter of strides. And I mean, he went past Snow Pilot doing, I think Alistair said in commentary, doing handstands. But it was an excellent win. I mean, Alistair, I think, will probably touch on the way he's worked it out. I think he ran to a 1-1-4. Is that right, Ali?
It's my maths.
Yeah, so, I mean, if he can beat that draw, I'm not too worried about the draw because he'll be looking for some cover early. He'll be hitting the line really hard. And then See It Again, as tough as old boots. Vicky, what you see on paper, I thought an excellent run in the World Sports Betting Cape Town Met. Had that race been another 100 metres, he probably goes on to win. Just one other horse that I do want to touch on is Zapatius. He's a lovely looking horse. I'm happy that he's come back in trip from a good draw. If ever we're going to see a horse return back to his best, it could be now, Vicky.
Good indeed. Karl, your take on the race, and look, I See It Again, unfortunately, draws aren't in his favour at the moment, but as a horse and also being gelded, he looks much better for it.
Yes, I think he's come on his second race in Cape Town in the Met. I thought he looked much better than he had the first time. It didn't look like he travelled very well up maybe, and he definitely wasn't at his best his first run here. He improved a lot his next run, and I expect him to. I think he's just got the class to win a race like this. Capitan is an improving horse, and he was very impressive last time. So yeah, I would go 10-9 Zapapilus, and I think the Real Prince may be in the back part of the quartets, or I'd put him in as well.
Do you think he'll be okay for the trip?
Real Prince?
Yes.
If he'll switch off and he'll come at the run. I don't know if he'll get there, but he'll be running one at the end. He's got a lot of class about him. I don't think this is ideal distance for him, but he'll be running on at the end.
And that's the most important part, is doing their best work late. Alistair, do you think a horse like number 4, Sugar Mountain, can also be doing his best work late?
It's one of my favourites, number 4, Sugar Mountain, but I've got exactly the same 4 horses as Karl, 1, 5, 9 and 10 in the opening leg of Jackpot number 1, which I have selected. There are a few points that I want to make here. Let's start with number 9, Mu Capitano. Brandon's right. Worked it out between 114 and 118 is what this horse ran to last time. And according to the conditions of the race, the operator's conditions, the winner was capped at getting a maximum of a £6 penalty. He ran 2 lengths in front of Snow Pilot, rated 125. Snow Pilot, one of the premier weight for age horses in the country. Not the best, unfortunately. Had he won the Lombard King's Plate, be having a totally different discussion. But still, Snow Pilot's shown his worth. He is a Grade 1 winner. He has beaten one stripe before. He's got a CV that's very, very hard to match. Funny enough, one horse in the country that has got a CV that has a better one is See It Again, but we'll get to him in a moment. So he's got to step up to a mile for the first time. The way he win, he'll have absolutely no issue going 1,600 meters. He's a very interesting horse now that he's added an extra dynamic to his game going around the turn. So it's hard to motivate. Even if he did run to 118, which is the maximum I've worked out, it's hard to motivate him beating a multiple Grade 1 winner in the form of See It Again, rated 128. And I have said off air to everyone in here, and I'll now say it on,
It's on the record.
go to the bank with this. If the Hollywoodbets Durban July was run tomorrow, I'd have a bet on See It Again to win Africa's greatest horse race. Provided there's another horse that runs that carries a little bit more weight. He had to do the donkey work last year, ran an absolute cracker, ran into a little bit of interference. Does he win? Absolutely not. But we know his credentials, number 10, See It Again. Also, if you consider that there's a little bit of pressure now taken off See It Again, in that he might not be the horse that he was as a 3-year-old when he was winning those Grade 1s, when he won the Cape Derby here 2 years ago, beating Charles Dickens, and also in winning the Daily News 2000 as a 3-year-old. He's got that all. And going back to my July comment, yes, there's 6 months to go. A lot of water to flow under the bridge. There's all those older horses that are going to emerge as well, handicapped, a la Winchester Mansion, and there's going to be that Oriental Charm, who we know nothing about as a 3-year-old. That's also going to come forward and really, raise their game getting into the Hollywoodbets Durban July. But I think that, he's going to be a runner this year, come rain or shine.
The other thing is he'll have time to freshen up in between, which I think will also benefit him as a horse.
His program in Durban's mapped out. When you're rated 128, there's no place to hide. You know exactly the direction you're going. You're going Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge, and you're going the Drill Hall, Independent Saturday Drill Hall Stakes into the July. There's no argument there. Also, if you consider his best win was over this distance in the World Sports Betting Green Point, so he's got the game. Karl can give a little bit more feedback when we get to the Khaya Stables Diadem about Lady Laidlaw, but I think the real prince is alive. Has he got the class to beat See It Again and Mu Capitano? I don't think so, but he'll run the first 4. And I think if Zapatias is going to show his worth, this is probably the right wheelhouse for him to be a chance. So I've gone those numbers, but 9 and 10, the 2 that I fancy most over 1 and 5.
Vic, sorry to butt in. Just quickly, I know punters do listen up and they pay attention to the betting. 6 to 10 is See It Again's price. After that, Mal Capitano is at 5 to 1, and you're pretty much getting 10 to 1 the field. So if you make it an absolute one-horse race, there we go. 6 to 10 is his current price.
Race 6, the SplashOut Prix Cup, Grade 3 over the 1,400 meters. I've always loved this race. It's always been a fantastic race because of the 1,400 meters. You get horses that can get 1,200, they can stretch a little bit further. Horses that enjoy a mile or further can really come back and might find it a little bit sharp. So it's always a great contest. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm very interested to see how number 6, Rockapina, runs. I think that she's a really lively runner. The other thing is number 2, Bavarian Beauty. Every time she runs, we all keep an eye on her just to see how she's doing, but she looks incredible. And at the moment, Candice Robinson's horses in themselves are looking fantastic. Number 3, Siddeley. She's as tough as they come. I think she's one of those horses that you just enjoy because she's easy, she's impressive, there's a lot to her. It doesn't quite stop there. I'm not going to go on about the balance of the field, but I'm looking forward to also seeing number 1, Petite Cherie. Brandon, can you take us through the betting?
Sure, Vicky. So 8 to 10 is the price. Rockapina, very short indeed. After that, Mont Petit Cherie 3 to 1. Gimmy's Countess number 10 at 4 to 1, and pretty much 12s and better. So you can write your price about the balance.
What would your play be in race 6?
So Vicky, I've made an absolute 2-horse race, funny enough. I think Rockapina will be very hard to beat. I mean, punters just need to go and watch her last start. She moved up like she was actually going to go past double Grand Slam inside the last 200 meters. maybe, and I'm just saying maybe at this early stage of her career, maybe the 1600 just a stretch too far. She had the run of the race. I thought Richard maybe was going to do enough and go and pull away with double Grand Slam, but I mean, she ranged up. She must have been on that filly's hindquarters, and then that last part, she just tapped it off. So, Vicky, the key over here is dropping back to 1400 meters for Rockapina. She's got a half decent draw. JP can get her into a good position early. She's classy. I mean, the sky could be the limit for this filly. I think we'll be seeing a lot of her as a 4-year-old as well. So she's going to be my top selection, and I'm very strong that she'll win. The danger, and a horse that's got many people stumped, is number 10, Gimmy's Countess. Everybody said, right, bring her back to 1200 racing certainty. I thought she had every chance last time out. I'm not sure where she fits into the pecking order, because one thing we do know, Vicky, she's going to be switched off. She'll be coming from the back of the field, and she'll be coming with that striking turn of foot. If JP can get away with Rockapina, she wins. It's as easy as that, and I think Gimmy's Countess will be doing the chasing.
There you go. Talking about Gimmy's Countess, Karl, I'll ask you about her. She really is an interesting filly to watch, and if you see her turn of foot, it's so devastating, but the spark is just a little bit too late to get there whenever she needs to. She almost becomes a multiple, like super impressive without getting there.
Yeah, she's a lovely filly. Yeah, I think they've been battling to work her out, and she often ends up, a little bit too far out of her ground, because she's ended up with bad draws, and they're trying to switch her off. Because I think if you have to jump her and try and place her, I think it'd be very difficult to bring her back and to switch her off again. So they've got to do it very quickly, and that's why she often ends up a little bit far out of her ground. I don't think this is ideal for her. She's drawn 10 again today. I think she'll most probably be quite far back. And yeah, I believe Rockapina will be pretty hard to beat. She'll have the run of the race. It's also quite an open race, I think. So I don't think she's an odds-on shot. Her last run was over 1600, and it definitely looked like it was a little bit on the far side for her. But if if the race goes well for her, she'll be hard to beat. If it doesn't go well for her and she doesn't get in, she might also be stuck, without cover. It might change quite a bit. So I wouldn't go too short here. I would take a few horses.
She was mighty unlucky in the Cartier Scepter Stakes. I think you also called the race, Ali. If punters can go and watch, she got caught up on the heels. JP had to wait for that gap on that inside fence, and by that time Richard had obviously set sail for home. She's smart, Vicky. Rockapina, very smart filly, one to follow.
Indeed. Alistair, your take on the race?
Karl, did you ride Real Princess?
Yes, early on in her career.
Proper filly, wasn't she?
She was absolutely magnificent. One of the fastest fillies I've ever ridden. She was really, really good.
So you know what's interesting, and we'll get to Gimme a Prince in a moment. Real Princess, Mare of the Real Prince a race earlier, Mare of Gimmy's Countess, and Mare of Gimme a Prince. I mean, what a brood mare. And if we can get another grade 1, it'll make a very easy decision when we get to Equus later in the year. I read it the same way as Brandon and Karl, probably a little bit more open than what the betting suggests. But number 6, Rockapina, definitely my top choice. High quality filly. Gimmy's Countess, Dean Canamea must be tearing his hair up with draws. Very good filly. If she gets luck and running, she'll be there. And I'll put number 1, Mon Petit Cherie, into my jackpot as well. I think they're the 3 horses that fight it out. But one of the races of the day. We're lucky. We're lucky on Saturday. Might not be big fields, but this will be a very good race.
Yeah, definitely. Full of quality, as is race 7, the 100th running of the SplashOut Cape Derby, grade 1. It's the 7 runners that face the starter, and this is the race that one of the races, Alistair said, we really spoiled for choice with brilliant racing. And it's a field where we've got the WSB Cape Town Met winner, number 2, 8 on 18, Richard Ferrier aboard, which is going to be fantastic to see him stepping onto the track. And you've got the likes of number 1, Garrix, who great turn of foot. And I must commend, Brandon touched on Andre Nelsjord earlier, and I must commend Andre. He always shows up, nominates horses and includes them. Even if sometimes it's a bit of an ask and a test, he shows up, and that's wonderful. So we always thank Andre for that. And number 6, Zaat, he's trimmed down. If you had to stand the old Zaats or the original first run Zaats next to the Zaats of today, he's absolutely the shape of a racehorse now. So he was a big soft baby, which is great because there was a lot to work with from the yard. But I'm not going to go into much more because Brandon's going to take us through the betting, and then we'll go into more detail. Yeah,
so credit to you. Talking about Zaats, Vix, I think we do need to give a big shout out to Rahil, because he pointed this horse out as one to follow after his maiden. And I looked at him, I said, "You're mad." It's as simple as that. But he won the politician super impressively. So well done to Rahil. 2 8 on 18, 3 to 10. The one Garrick's at 7 to 1, 8 to 1. The 3 was Dawn Till Dusk, and after that you're getting 10s. I think it's many people's banker. Vic's 8 on 18 going to be almost impossible to beat. I mean, his win in the World Sports Betting Cape Town Met was impressive. Richard was just waiting for that gap to appear on the inside. Happened, worked out for him. He got the better of Oriental Charm. He was well weighted. It's well documented that there was a lot of shrewd punters. We won't mention the names. They got the 20s of the anti-post betting available on 8 on 18. But well done to Justin Snaith and his team. Vicky, I can't sit here and elaborate too much. I mean, 3 to 10 favourite. He deserves to be at the top of the betting boards. He'll be very hard to beat. The horse that will be chasing him home, I'm going to advise the exactas Garrick's. I know Alistair's always been a big fan of Garrick's. He was mighty unlucky last time. I am of the opinion it's easy to be an after-race merchant. He should have gone a little bit closer to Zeitz. I'm not sure what happened in the early parts of the race. Remember, he was sitting a long way back, and around the bend already he was made use of. I'd imagine it was because of the pace. I mean, it's lovely to get Carl's opinion of that. But yeah, he's a nice horse. He's got the draw. There should be no excuses. And he's going to be the exacta horse, Vix. If it pays 3-4 rand on the tote, you've done well.
I must, at 8 on 18, when you mentioned how impressive his win was, the drone footage of the finish for me was how impressive you could see 8 on 18's turn of foot. For me, as soon as he switched in for that run, it was just, he got there in almost an instant.
Sure.
It was fantastic to see.
And a tricky race, Vix, because originally we know Kenilworth at the best of times can put you off. And I mean, Alistair's always said to you, watch the outside fence. And at one stage, I thought Oriental Charm was actually going well because JP still had him under the hands. And boom, Richard weaved a passage and it was a striking turn of foot. Remember, this was always the plan, Vicky.
Correct.
Justin made it very clear that this was always the plan. They were hesitant to actually run him in the Met. There were 1 or 2 pushes just to go because of how well weighted, and obviously there were question marks around the older horses and how strong they would be. So this has been the plan. I believe he's had a breeze up to blow those cobwebs away in between here at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. Some fantastic footage from the Cape Racing team, so well done to Troy and his team for that. But yes, I think the exacta, 8 on 18, Garrick's.
And also Garrick's, can I tell you what is going to be Garrick's long-term solution to unlocking his full potential is gelding. I can't make that call, it's not my decision. But if you watch him, and the connections mention that he's quite a horse to work with, but Pete Steyn is an expert. His son Albert's also been a huge asset to the yard, so looking forward to that.
Son Albert needs gelding as well.
Karl, tactics, how it needs to be pace-wise, do you think that possibly number 7 Native Ruler is going to set the fractions up front and do all of that? And if you were riding in the race, let's put you on 8 on 18 forward.
No,
Who would you want to? I'll ask you the question. Who do you want to ride?
I would expect Express Yourself to go at the front, I think.
Okay.
I think that'll go at the front. It's, I mean, the 8 on 18, I definitely want an even pace. You know, I don't want them to canter and anything can happen. So I'm pretty sure one of Justin's will go to the front anyway and make a nice pace. I'm expecting Express Yourself. I think it's a one-horse race, really. It's 8 on 18, and I like Garrick second and Zeiss third. I mean, that's the way I see it. I don't see much else happening there.
It's going to be a race to enjoy, though. That's what it will be.
Yeah, I'd be very happy if I was riding him. I might even be able to win on him.
Don't sell yourself short. Lots of jockeys are coming back. There might be a mail coming your way soon, Karl.
Love to see that revival of Karl Neisius. And most certainly teach the jockey room a thing or two, as you always did when riding against you, Karl. Alistair, I'm just going to give a horse a mention because I think he's great. It's number 3, Dawn Till Dusk. He's such a neatly put together horse, but you can go through the race.
Your spirit animal, Dawn Till Dusk. 8 on 18. The only certainty in racing is the uncertainty. This is the closest thing to a certainty you'll see in 2025. Number 2, 8 on 18. We won the Weight for Age World Sports Betting Cape Town Met, for goodness sake, and now he's running in the SplashOut Cape Derby. And there's only one other horse rated north of 100 in the race. On paper, impossible for him to get beaten. Same boat as Karl and Brandon yet again. 1 and 6 to chase him home. Mention for number 1, Garrick's. I think that this has got a big race in him. Horrifically unlucky last time, and no fault of Aldo. It's easy to toss tomatoes at jockeys for what might not look like a very good ride. For me, Aldo rode the race. He must have been cursing being stuck out with a deep draw, and gave Garrix, I thought, the best chance to get as close as he possibly could behind Zeitz. No way that he's 2 3/4 lengths and fair his ass off a fair run race, and draw one's going to make his task a lot easier. No right that a horse 97 can turn over a horse rated 127, but Garrix has definitely got a big race in him. Straight line exact of 2 from 1. Brandon says if pays 3 or 4 rand, we've done very well.
There you go. Done very well. Moving on to race 8, the Khaya Stables Diadem Stakes, the Grade 2 over the 1200 meters. This is a brilliant race. Every single year, it's absolutely incredible. We've got a number of horses. Give Me a Prince, obviously, ultra impressive last time, and I think we all sort of sat back and thought, well, that's the best of him. It really was wonderful to see. Questioning, you always have to mention him. An interesting run is number 2, Royal Aussie with the blinkers on. He's versatile, he's straightforward, temperament-wise, he's very easygoing, and it doesn't quite stop there. Alistair mentioned earlier about syndicate runners, and I think it's just wonderful to have future variety who, look, with syndicate runners, you get a whole bunch of people to enjoy the horse the same way one person would. So it's a stretch all round, but the Khaya Stables Diadem Stakes, Cole, obviously, Give Me a Prince is very impressive, but what kind of, obviously you'd ride him if you were riding, it's always a good question, and who do you think your dangers would be?
Yeah, I wouldn't really be too worried about the way he won last time. He was in a different race when he let him go. He's a super horse, and I think he's up the straight. I think that's his game. But yeah, if he runs anywhere near his last run, he'll absolutely annihilate this field. I also like Royal Aussie a little bit. I think I've got a feeling he might be a little bit better over the shorter distances than he is over, and putting blinkers on. He ran a very good race, I think, in the Drollord, didn't he? I think the Drollord in Durban, he ran a very good race there. So yeah, I had a 624 Sergey, who she's as honest as you come.
Yeah, he's great.
And yeah, unquestioning, I had for fourth, but yeah, I think it's between those 4. But I can't see anything beating the favourite.
Just quickly, Carl, being Lady Laidlaw's first retained jockey in South Africa, how much will it mean to her to win the race that she sponsors in a game that she's completely fallen in love with?
No, she'll absolutely love it. But Lady Law, whether it's a maiden or a big race, she's just so happy. And if she's bred them as well, I mean, it's that'll be a great present to her. She just loves her racing, loves breeding them, and coming to races and watching them when it's. I was very fortunate to ride for a long time, and yeah, I'm still very good friends with her. So.
Talking about Real Princess, we saw her not too long ago looking bright as a button.
That day at Fastfontein was unbelievable. That'll be a good taking the reins, that with Susan Rowett, and also very exciting. The Green with Envy will head off to Fastfontein in March, not too long from now, out of the Galileo mare. If Give Me a Princess in half the mood that he was in the Hong Kong Jockey Club World Pool Cape Flying Championship, no race. Now the highest rated horse in the country, 134. So Carl can probably give a little bit of feedback. To win a 1,000 meter grade 1, where you've only got that far, not a 2,400 meter race where you've got a lot of time to stretch away and win impressively. To win like that in a 1,000 meter at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, unheard of, isn't it, Carl?
No, it's unheard of. I mean, I rode Fly By You for many years, and he was like a champion sprinter, and we never won by like more than a length or half a length. So, you know, it's fantastic for us to win like it. It's just unheard of, you're right.
You know what's bizarre?
What is bizarre, Alistair?
He won, I'm not looking for sports. 2 years ago, he won the Cape Flying Championship, less impressively than what he won 4 weeks ago. And he got beaten by Bereave in the Diadem. And he faces Bereave again. I can't see it happening. Give Me a Prince, banker in all bets. Admirable mention for number 4, Sergey. He got his just reward win, winning the Mercury Sprint at Hollywoodbets Gravel on Gold Cup Day. Punches well above his weight. He'll be in the top 4. Royal Aussie, I have respect for. I think the game's pretty much given away with number 2, Royal Aussie. Carl's given him a resounding mention. I'd far rather back him in a 1,200 meter race than a 2,000 meter race. Can't beat Give Me a Prince in my book, and questioning will run closer, but I don't think he can beat Give Me a Prince.
Yeah, looking forward to Give Me a Prince setting the track alight together. Yes, still do the challenging, but it looks like it's going to be one of those brilliant races for all to enjoy. As Carl touched on, it's a good race, and also looking forward to Khaya Stables being part of the day. Race 9, We're moving on to race 9. It's the Heineken Class 4 for the Fillies mares over the 1400 metres. And Brandon, if you can please take us through the betting.
Sure, Vic. So the betting has number 6, All the Boys I've Loved, at 2-1, 3-1, the 10 Miraculous, the 2 Golden Angel is at 5-1, 7-1, 5 My Only Weakness, and after that you're getting 10s and better.
So looking forward to that. It's going to be a good contest. A filly, number 2 Golden Angel, that I always feel hasn't quite tapped into her true potential, Brandon. How do you see this race unfolding?
Well, look, I think the obvious horse is All the Boys I've Loved. It was good to see that she switched off last time, because I know Lucinda's often mentioned the fact that she can be a little bit aggressive in her races. But you've asked me about Golden Angel. She's better off at the weights if you go to that run on the 18th of January. I think there's a 3.5 kg pull in her favour where she was just beaten 2 and a bit lengths. I know that Glenn's often told us that she's smart and there's something there with her. I thought she was given the run of the race last time, Vic, so I'm not too sure what to make of her. I mean, she'll be given every chance by Richard from a good draw. I've no doubt she'll probably be just a length off them turning into the home straight. But the key over here, if Gavin can get number 6, All the Boys I've Loved, to switch off early, I think she'll win again. She's a very nice filly, this Vix.
Cole, how do you find number race? We'll see race 9.
No, I agree. All the Boys She Loved. Very nice filly. She's improving all the time. I also looked at number 2, Golden Angels. I realized she's got 2.5 kilos better off. And then after that, I had My Only Weakness. I thought that for third, and anything basically for fourth, I'd go, maybe a quartet race there and go wide in the last 2, third, fourth place.
There you go, Alistair, are you in agreement?
Yeah, full agreement. I've actually tipped up a trifecta here. Richard Fries found Golden Angel what might be the right time. Brandon alluded to the 3.5 kilo swing. Gonna make number 2 Golden Angel a huge runner. You're right in the fact that you say she probably hasn't unlocked her full potential yet. She'll get very close to number 6, All the Boys I've Loved, but the path that All the Boys I've Loved is on is also very revealing, so it's hard to be put off by her. I don't think anyone's riding in the country as well as Gavin Lerena is at the moment, so I'm pretty sure he'll get All the Boys I've Loved to switch off, although Ron Fanica so switched off he can get anything to switch off. My Only Weakness, she's so consistent, she'll be in the mix as well. And then as far as my trifecta is concerned, I've kicked with number 10 Miraculous to maybe be the alternative. If one of the 3 go missing, maybe number 10 Miraculous can get into the top 3 for a box trifecta in the last 2, 5, 6 and 10.
There you go. Alistair, before we close off, I want to ask you, what race are you looking forward to the most, and which horse are you looking forward to the most seeing run?
Horse I'm looking forward to most would be Gimme a Prince. The race I'm most looking forward to would be the SplashOut Prix de Cup, funny enough. I think they're 3 very high quality 3-year-old fillies that we've not seen the best of yet, that are likely to fight it out. That could be the best finish of the day. And I'm not putting in the SplashOut Cape Derby because you'd anticipate 8 on 18 to pretty much win in a procession. So, yeah, those will answer your questions.
There you go. Carl, race you're most looking forward to and a horse you're most looking forward to?
I think the Derby is always a wonderful race, and it's going to be wonderful to see it, even though it's a very small field. You must probably going to see the best horse in the country in that race. So what more could you want for? And obviously the Diadem. I'm holding thumbs for car stables. So let's hope.
Let's hope. Brandon, you?
No, Vix, I'm always upstream, am I not? I'm actually looking forward to the baby race, funny enough, because I enjoy the next generation, and always exciting to see these youngsters and where they go to from here. There's a lot of quality, I think, in the first race, so that's the SplashOut Cape of Good Hope Nursery. Let's see, it's going to be a good race. I mean, the obvious races being, as Alistair said, and Carl, the Derby, the sprint race, but I mean, I think the baby race something to watch, and then later on that filly Rockapina. I want to see where she fits into the pecking order. But been great, Vix. Thank you very much. Thanks to Carl, thanks to Ali, thanks to yourself. It's really been a good panel, and let's hope that the punters enjoy it.
Indeed.
And Alistair, please leave us some seafood for the day.
Get in early.
Yes, tickets are available at Open Tickets. So please have a look at Cape Racing's website. So it's caperacing.co.za. You can find all the ticket and event information on there for the SplashOut Seafood, Jazz and Racing Festival. And looking forward to the SplashOut Cape Derby, the Grade 1. Please also visit Cape Racing's website and view it together with Cape Racing's social media pages for the history of the races. It's really wonderful to dive and go back, especially being the 100th running of the Derby. Looking forward to that. And also the perfectly placed interviews will be loaded onto the Cape Racing's YouTube channel. So please have a look at those and get all the information you need for the SplashOut Cape Derby race day. Looking forward to it. We'll see you there.
SplashOut Cape Derby Grade 1, they stand at the 2000.